Ahoy, ahoy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back.
KJ and Swiley here. Today we are going to be talking about censorship. That is our word of the day.
Censorship.
Yes, indeed. The definition of censorship is the suppression or prohibition of any parts of books, films, news, etc. that are considered obscene, politically unacceptable, or a threat to security.
That's the term of the day, isn't it? Politically unacceptable.
Yes, politically unacceptable indeed. Urban Dictionary definitions for censorship include legal vandalization of art, which is a bit of a hurt feelings report there. Or this is one also about art, stopping the free flow of art and ideas. Or censorship, a means of sheltering minors from the world or any material that may not be politically correct. Politically correct, what was that other one? It was politically unacceptable. Yeah, so PC. Or censorship, the way the government controls what we hear and see, bringing us but one step closer to communism. That was a very positive definition from that particular person
I hear the word
there.
government used a lot of times here.
I can't help you. It's just what the definitions say. Right, so if we have a look at some of Australia's censorship laws, we have various, primarily focused on protecting minors and the public from harmful or offensive material, while also upholding freedom of expression, which is tricky. There's a fine line there, isn't there? Like, you do need some censorship of things too, and you do need to protect some people from things, but you also want that freedom of expression, which we could see in that Urban Dictionary definition regarding being upset about art being interfered with. But then, you can call anything art.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
And then try and get away with having actually put something out into the world that wasn't particularly nice or pleasant or appropriate. These laws regulate the distribution of films, publications, and online content, with different authorities responsible for enforcement at the federal and state territory levels. So we've got here some key aspects of Australian censorship laws. So there's content restrictions, so material deemed offensive to reasonable adults. So you don't want to have things that are depicting minors in a way that could offend, promoting crime or violence, advocating terrorism, that kind of thing. There's classification systems as well. So that's around things like your films and computer games. They're classified by the Australian Classification Board to ensure age-appropriate access and to prevent the distribution of harmful material.
I just wanted to highlight one of those points that you made just then.
Yeah.
Was reasonable person. What is a reasonable person? And who determines?
A reasonable adult.
A reasonable adult. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That was the content restrictions.
I was being very PC there and said person because I wasn't discriminating.
Well, it does say reasonable adults, deemed offensive to reasonable adults. So that is what that one said. And yes, of course, it is like who is the one that makes that choice? Who says what is reasonable and what isn't? You've also got your internet censorship, which is the Australian Communications and Media Authority, or ACMA. They have the power to enforce content restrictions on internet content in Australia and maintain a block list of overseas websites for like blocking pornography and violence and things like that. And we've got freedom of expression, multiple levels of regulation. We just were talking about regulations recently. Federal laws regulate trade, commerce and online services. And then you've got state and territory laws to regulate content within their jurisdictions. What else do we see here in a little look? We've got, well, obviously here in Australia, we just recently had a new sort of censorship bill. We can have a look at that one. I've got a nice little article here from November 24, the title of which, it's from a government website, this one, yes. It says, Albanese government delivers world-leading legislation to protect children online. And this was the Online Safety Amendment Bill.
The Commissioner.
In brackets, the Social Media Minimum Age Bill of 2024. which this article states will deliver greater protections for young Australians during critical stages of their development. Interestingly, when I read along, it was the onus was all on the social media platforms to actually prevent under 16-year-olds from having accounts. So it's not the parents or the young people that are accountable
I
here.
think there's too much involvement from the government on what we can and what we can't do, though. I mean, where does the ownership come back on the parents? If the parents choose to do that, supervise it. I mean, it all well and good. It sounds like a good thing. Like, yeah, maybe social media has had a toxic influence on the way that we are as people now, but that's up to the people that make those decisions to be allowed to make those decisions.
That the parent chooses what
But
they
not only
want.
that, it comes across as, oh, yeah, it's a great idea, but at what cost? What other costs are we giving away for these things?
Yeah. Well, it does say that the bill and its associated rules are supposed to ensure that young Australians still have continued access to other forms of online things like messaging and online games, as well as access to services, health and education related services like Kids Helpline and Google Classroom and YouTube. Those kinds of things are not included in it. It's just regarding that social media bit. But the bit about it that is, I think, concerning for a lot of Aussies is, well, how do you then verify who these individuals are, how old they are? And it leans into that digital
Digital
ID
ID. That's
fear
what it is.
factor.
That's the cost that I was talking about. At what cost?
Yeah, yes. How do you actually check these things? It says it will contain robust privacy provisions, including requiring platforms to ring fence and destroy any information collected to safeguard the personal info of Aussies. Has been designed following extensive feedback from young Australians, parents, experts, industry, community organisations, and state and territory governments. I would like to see the data on the extensive feedback they claim they have gotten from young Australians and the parents in particular. I think experts is a pretty broad term. You got your data from your experts, cool, but what did the young people and the parents actually have to say on the matter? How did they feel about this sort of censorship being implemented in that way? Yeah, I don't know.
There's too much regulation going on, too much involvement from government on the way that we make and choose and make decisions. And I mean, these aren't. Obviously, we've seen these laws being passed before, or policies being passed before, where they infringe on more than just that one thing. It sounds like I said, it sounds like a good idea, but what else is going behind?
Yeah.
I mean, so how are they going to regulate? How are they going to find out? Well, they're going to have access to our data, and it's a free way to get access to our data
collect
without
more of
more
your info.
information.
Yeah. It's supposed to take effect a year after that date, so it's not until the end of 2025 that it should be rolled out. So I imagine between now and then there'll be lots of, like you say, stuff going on behind the scenes to set the stage for that. But I just can't see how it actually would be able to be rolled out without using a digital ID, because these platforms are digital themselves. They're online. So how else could you check those things? I mean, what are you meant to do? Upload
You'd
your
have to verify
birth
it
certificate
somehow.
but that's got to be digital. It's all going to be digital in some way. I don't know. I don't know about that one. Any other censorship ones on here? What else did I have that was interesting
Very
censorship
interesting. There's a lot of
wise?
censorship in the media in China as well, and their social media is very highly censored.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost communist.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is interesting. Comes up under the wiki for censorship in Australia. There's a little tab there. Does the Australian government monitor internet searches? Well,
Yes.
yes, yes, and in some cases they should be, and in others perhaps not so much.
Well, that's the thing. That's where does the line get drawn? I mean, if they're monitoring internet searches to see that people are not looking up how to make bombs, or planning on doing terrorist attacks or causing harm to other people, but they're coming across a lot more information that isn't that than what that is, and it's a free pass to do that because we've said, oh, well, that's in the interest of a public safety.
Yeah.
And we've decided, oh, well, in the interest of public safety, that's what we expect our government to do and what our
Yeah.
government's doing. But not all the time is that the moral or the principle behind what they do.
Yeah. I certainly wouldn't discount that it can be harmful for young people.
Of course, yeah.
And we've got, like, we're in May now, the month of May, and we have Do It for Dolly Day coming up from the story of the young girl who, took her life because she was subjected to awful online bullying. It obviously it happens.
That's where I suppose it would come more back to putting the onus back on the parents and the families to monitor that or restrict it themselves. Put their own censorship in what they do and allow the parents to be able to censor these things. It's very hard to find good platforms that can't be
Circumnavigated by sneaky stuff that you don't want them to have been part
or,
of. Yeah.
I mean, you put programs on your computers to protect your children from different things, but they can just circumnavigate it with another tool.
Yeah, they can, because as soon as you put a ban in place on something, before that even comes to effect, the young people, they're very clever. They are tech savvy. They will have already found a way to go around the outside of that. They'll make their own site. Maybe they'll all start going back to MySpace or something.
They just open up in another different browser.
Well,
just put a different browser in.
Yes, yeah, or just change the dates of birth, and that's the thing. I don't see how those companies can actually manage it and moderate it, nor how the parents can, or where that problem really can be solved. Is it an education issue? Is it that these young people don't genuinely understand the effects that they are having on their peers, unless it actually happens to them themselves?
I think more my concern with it is not that they're bad ideas, but they should be my choices to make and my
for
choice
your own children.
for my own children, correct?
Yeah.
And at what cost is it? I mean, is it censorship, or is it invasive? What are we giving up for it, and what is it costing us?
It seems like it's yet another one of
Censorship
those.
or intrusive? Which one is it?
Well, it's just going to be another one of those things that you don't really understand how it will function and what it genuinely represents in its entirety until it comes around and you can see
It's
what
giving me
effect
those
it
vibes
has.
of 2022 all over again. Like, although that sounds like a great policy, we'll pass that one, and then when it comes, it's used in a completely different way, and it's not something that anyone would expect or would have agreed with had they known that's what it was.
Yes, the good old hindsight. For our vintage culture appreciation today, we're actually talking about banned books, which leads nicely in from what you were just saying there. It's kind of 1984-ish.
Yeah.
The whole situation that we're facing here of being told what you can and cannot say and do and rewriting history to suit whatever the party line is. War is peace, freedom is slavery. Banned books, I like collecting them, to be honest. I actually look at the lists every now and then and go, oh, that's an awesome one. How come I'm not allowed to have access to it? Or it'll encourage me to buy one that I've heard of before, quite popular, and haven't read it, so that I can actually have it on my shelf, because it looks like those ones won't be available in the libraries.
Specifically, it's not banned books as in like bad books on how to make
I've
make
got
bombs and things like that. There's some banned books as well.
Well, some of those are
right.
banned, and that makes perfect sense. Yes, I'm talking about some other things like 1984 at another Orwell one, Animal Farm, which is really good, breaking down the government. I've got some different pages here open because there are a lot of lists. Many books have been banned or challenged due to their controversial content. Some prominent examples include To Kill a Mockingbird, Catcher in the Rye, 1984. And then I just flick down and you see some others like Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, because it's quite an old book and it has, racial slurs and stereotypes in it and depicts slavery. Yeah. Yet at the time that it was written, those things were actually occurring. So we're supposed to pretend that those things didn't happen and just stick our heads in the sand like 1984, rewrite history and just delete that part.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, the history is there, and that's for us to learn and grow from the
Yeah.
history. If you're doing the same mistake over and over again,
Mm-hmm.
then you're not getting anywhere. That's the definition of insanity: is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. But if
Yeah.
you can't learn from it, how do you know that you're doing it over and over again?
Yes, but if you've erased that it ever happened, you don't know what you're learning from. Another one is Of Mice and Men. Perks of Being a Wallflower. I haven't read that one. I don't know if that one is good, bad, or ugly. And what else was there on here? I just saw one crazy one before. Oh, Hunger Games is no good. Harry Potter is no good. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, written by Maya Angelou. That I bought and read that one
So
because it was
Charlotte's Web or
banned.
something like that.
Yep, that's in there. The Color Purple, and yeah, like these books, they're talking about difficult topics, but they need to be talked about.
Yeah.
You can't pretend that it's not there.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, these censorships and censoring things like that, it's just stopping people from being free thinkers.
Yeah.
That's the end of it. Oh, well, you can't be a free thinker anymore. We're going to tell you how to think and what to read, what to listen, where to work,
Where, when, how, why?
where, when, how, what, why. I think the onus needs to go back on us as people, for us to be discerning and to be independent, free thinkers, because at the end of the day, policies are made by sinful people. And we are
Surely not.
all
Surely not.
sinful people, so we've got to
Yes.
work it out. Otherwise, we can't just take it off of another man's direction.
Yeah.
Nor should we.
The Bible's always been on that list of controversial books as well. And you got Anne Frank on there, Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. I mean, why would that story not need to be told? That's just, to me, I think that's mad for it to be on a list like that. If you're offended by these things that have happened, then
Close the book.
well, sure. I mean, you can. You
don't
can
read
close the book. Yeah, you don't have to read it. Of course, you don't have to read it. But if it offends you, why don't you have a think about why it's offended you? Did it offend you because you agree with the author or you disagree with the author? Maybe you can have a conversation with a friend or a family member about that book and see why it made you uncomfortable. Because it probably made you uncomfortable because there's something in there that's morally bad, not what the author has written necessarily, but the topic, the hard topic they're writing about. And if we don't have hard conversations, how do we ever learn and
Well, it's supposed
grow?
to invoke a thought process, or
Yeah.
not channeling a thought process, but just to even stop and think about it. Or what if, and how would we deal with that, or how do we stop this happening in the future, or
Yep.
why did these things happen, and encouraging people to be
The
free thinkers.
dog's got the squeaky toy going. should have banned the squeaker.
Should have censored that right
Yeah.
out.
You want to just go and get that ball there? Come here. What are you doing, you goose? Drop it. Thank you.
Well, back to the task at hand.
Yes. At a glance of why these books are banned, we've got moral concerns, political ideologies, religious concerns, educational concerns. And when we look at who is usually challenging these books to make it into these lists of either challenged or banned in various countries, we've got parents and community members, who often raise concerns about the content of books that they believe are inappropriate for children or that conflict with their values. In some cases, I certainly think there's lots of these kinds of books which are out there in the world that I wouldn't want in a primary school, in the library for kids to go and pick up, because I think you should be of a discerning age before you're reading some of those kinds of
exactly.
about those topics. They're more mature to be able to take the information in and actually process it, particularly when they are confronting topics such as like Anne Frank would be.
Maybe there's no place for it in schools,
Yeah,
but not for the general population. You shouldn't say, well, no, you can't have this, you can't have that.
in a regular like state library or something.
Maybe you've got to think about the whole group there. So maybe not, but there's some important historical literature that does need to be told regardless of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, just glancing at my shelf, there's a few over there that I'm quite fond of that were difficult reads, let's say. but I was glad to have read them. I learned something that I didn't know before that about someone else's experience that I don't think I should ignore. We can never understand each other's experiences because we're all unique, right? But we can certainly read about what someone else has been through
to gain some perspective.
Yeah, and some respect for their circumstances being different to your own. There's a lot to be learned from it. But yeah. Anyway, if you've got any that you've read that I didn't mention that you think I should read, tell me. I'll add them to my list. I'll write it in my little list there and see if I can find a copy. I love going into the op shop looking for books, and often you can get really good quality stuff in there for 50 cents, a couple of bucks for a book. Can't complain about that. Quite enjoy
You're just looking for that first edition.
Yeah. Well, I haven't come across anything amazing like that, but I'm certainly stoked when I have a book on my list that I know I want to find or read, and then I find it for $1. Like, that's amazing. Yeah. Excellent. Very good.
Things you can't buy now, or they've just decided, no, we're not going to sell them anymore. Yeah. Whatever's out there, they'll eventually rot.
Yeah. End up in the landfill. Right. Well, that was fun.
As always.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. We will catch you next time, I suppose, with another hot word of the day, whatever it will be. Until then.
And hopefully it's thought-invoking and yeah.
Yes. And it hasn't made it to the banned list or been censored by that point in time. We'll see. Until then, guys, God bless and peace out.
This content is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional advice. We are not authors, authoritarians, pastors or politicians. You are not more likely to suck less or try harder having listened to these shenanigans.